Afternoon, chaps. This is it. It's deadline day. Finally come. It's finally arrived. First off, thank you for subscribing. Yeah, I'm really chuffed with that. Really pleased. I want you to get your money's worth, so if there's any questions, please contact me, send an email or a DM on the old Twitter, now called X, and I will respond to all of them. Or if there's any tabs that don't make any sense, or if there's something that you do want to be added in there, yeah, please let me know. So now I'm going to talk about my team, give you some ideas as to what I'm thinking, some advice. You don't have to I'm not going to be like, you've got to do it like this. You've got to play this chip strategy, or you have to have this player. I'm just going to offer some advice. I've provided all the information you need to aid your decision making. First consideration is chip strategy. And the key takeaway about this is I'm not a big fan at all about playing all your chips in the group stage. I'm sure we've all played UCL Fantasy. I'll talk about that because I was doing really well in that up until the quarterfinals. So I was hovering around the top 100. Quarterfinals came. So quarterfinals, I had 15 players here. Then you get 3 free transfers here, 5 free transfers there. So in total, I had 8 transfers before the next round. And there were shocks. Players, I'll show you the team. So I had 4 City players. They were odds-on favourites to get through against Real Madrid. They drew the first leg away from home, got beat on penalties at home. 5 Barcelona players, likewise, red-hot favourites to get through against Napoli. Guy gets sent off, and it all goes to pot, and they got knocked out. Arsenal were a 50-50 shot away to Bayern Munich as well. So if just one of those teams qualified, I would have been fine for the next round. All of them went out, which was about a 6% chance. It happens. Shocks happen. And then the next round, I could only field, I think it was 8 players. I think I took a hit as well. And that's when there's 2 legs. So you can make transfers before the second leg, and then you get 5 free transfers. So 8 free transfers. Still struggled to field. Well, I still could not field a full team without taking hits. That's with 8 free transfers. In Euro Fantasy, after the round of 16, we only get 3 free transfers. Not a lot. Then we only get 4, and then we get 5. So if you use your wild card in the group stage to get through these rounds without it, it's going to be very unlikely. It's going to be hard to do it. People who use their wild cards and their limitless in the group stage will have a bump. It will, because I'm going to use my limitless in match day 3. So fantasy players who use their chips in the group stage will go ahead of me in the group stage, but I'm hoping that by saving my wild card here, I will gain the ground on them when shocks are going to happen, teams are going to go out, it's going to be an upset. It's a one-off game of football where it could just be a draw, a 0-0. It goes to penalties and the favourite goes out. And then if you had those players, straight away, they've gone out. So the quarterfinals, it's just going to be a big advantage. I will be having 15 players for that. Teams who use their chips in a group stage probably struggle to get 15 players. You might say, oh, well, as long as you have 11 players on the pitch, that's good. Well, it's better than not having 11 players, but the big advantage of having 15 is you got more options. You got more bites at the cherry to get a good haul. You might have 11 players and loads of them blank. Well, you've got nobody on your bench to bring in. So I'm going to have 15 players for there, very likely to have 15 again there in the semi-finals. And then in the finals, as long as you've got 11 players, you don't need a bench for the final. And looking at the way the draw is, it's lopsided where you've got third place teams qualifying. So the winner of A faces a runner-up of C, whereas the winner of Group F faces a third place team. And Obviously, you want to play a third place team rather than a runner-up. Generally speaking, you're going to get an easier opponent. And the winner of A is likely to be Germany. Runner-up is C, could quite easily be England. So if Germany play England in the round of 16, would you want any Germany players or any players from England? Yeah, probably not. But whoever qualifies out of them two, if they get a plum draw in the quarterfinals, then you would want those players in. So if I'm going to use my wild card before the quarterfinals, I would sort of treat this as a free hit. And then I can really bring in, target the rest of the tournament. Using both your chips here, you're sort of not necessarily wanting the best players for each round. You just want the players more likely to qualify and get through each time. Because prior to doing some work on this, looking at the fixtures, I was thinking that at the fixture rate, I was thinking that using the limitless in match day 2 would be better than 3, just because certain teams have a harder fixture in match day 2. Like France have got better fixture in 1 and 3 because they play Holland. And likewise, Holland have got the hard fixture against France. And Italy and Spain play each other in match day 2. Yeah, those are the main ones. But looking at the expected points, there wasn't much in it between the two, Limitless in 2 or Limitless in 3. I prefer to play Limitless in 3 because you're going to have more information in 1 and 2. Plus, if somebody gets pooped in 1 and then 2, they'll be suspended in match day 3. And match day 3, certain teams will definitely have qualified or definitely qualified in first place. And so there might be some rotation. So you can guard against that. So it's injuries, suspensions, rotation. You're sort of guarding against by playing it Limitless in 3. Plus you get more information from match days 1 and 2. So I'm playing Limitless in 3. So my team is going to be set up for 1 and 2. For match days 1 and 2, that's what I am planning for. And looking at the chip strategy, so I've got suggested teams for whatever chip strategy you want to go with. So this one, if you're playing it in your Limitless in 2, now I've split it out for match day. Sorry, I've split it out Limitless for 3 because there's 2 sort of ways to play it, or 2 sort of tactics. One is, I've said before many times in my UCL videos that a lot of teams want to go with a big 3 forward line, whereas I prefer to have a big 2 and a cheap option. And the best cheap option for both match days 1 and 2 is Kai Havertz. So that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Havertz and a big 2. And I've also got a suggested strategy if you want to go with a big 3. A lot of, the vast majority of fantasy managers in this sort of format, UCL and Euro Fantasy, do want to go with a big 3. But like I said, I do prefer going with a big 2 and a cheap option because you can upgrade the rest of your team. You do see a lot of the same teams on Twitter or Discord or whatever. There is a massive amount of groupthink. Like the template team is Kane, Lukaku, Mbappe. Or if not one of them 3, it'll be Ronaldo as well. So it's 3 out of the big 4. I'm going without Mbappe because of the injury concerns. So there's flu going around the French camp, and Mbappe's got, I think it was like he's got back problems and he's got a knee issue. He hasn't trained. So it's an easier decision to go without Mbappe. 11 million going with Lukaku, who's 9 million, or Ronaldo, who's 10, frees up money. And I was tempted to go with Ronaldo over Lukaku, but looking at the captaincy rotations, so if I had Ronaldo in, I've already got a decent captain there for the fifth day of match day 1, Bruno Fernandes. So if I bring in Lukaku, I've got a good option for a good captaincy option for the 4th day. Because when I was setting my team up, I have got captaincy in mind. So I'm going to have Gundo, I'm going to have DeMarco, I've got Kane, I've got Lukaku, I've got Fernandes. Also got Wirtz, I've got Eriksen, got Fees, however you say his name. And I've got Chanoglu. But a consideration, I've just noticed this before. So I'm going to keep Gundo for match day 2. I've got Kane. I'm not going to have a great option for 21st of June. And then I'm going to have Bruno there. So my consideration is, do I just go without having a great option for the 21st of June, or do I shift a load of players about to get Mbappe in? Looking ahead, is Mbappe going to be fit? Do I want him for the Netherlands game? Not sure. But that's slight concern. It's good to have captaincy options. I mean, I've mentioned before, I'm going to have a one for every day. So here, I'm either going to captain Gundo, Wirtz, or Havertz. You can be more, take more risk. Well, at the start. So unless I get a double-digit haul for my captain, I'm gonna twist. I'm gonna go for the next guy. But as each match day goes along, you want to take less risk because you've got less options available to you. Looking at the tabs for the planner and chip strategy, there's certain players who just pop up every single time. So I've actually shown my team now. This is what it looks like. The players who I think are essential, well, I think Kane, you've got to have him in. Gundo, got to have him. Fernandes, yep, got to have him. Eriksen, I do like Eriksen for match day 1, not so much match day 2. I've penciled him transferring him out for Luka Modric. Chanoglu, I do like him. I wouldn't say he's essential, but a very good pick. And Cancelo, if you're limitless 3 like me, he is a great option. Probably essential. Faze, I think he's essential just because of the price. For match day 1 and 2, he's going to be nailed. Only 4 mil. DeMarco and Van Dijk probably are essential just for the strength of the match day 1 fixture. Neither have got great fixtures in match day 2. And Gehi, I think you say his name. I wanted somebody in who's completely nailed, a defender who is cheap and nailed for match day 1 and 2. I was tempted to have the chap for Belgium. Is it De Kuipers? He's 4.5 as well, but he's not. He's lightly nailed, but he's not like 100% nailed. If he's not starting for match day 2, it wouldn't be a total shock. So I don't want that. I want to limit the number of players who I'm transferring out or considering to transfer out for match day 2. So as it stands, I'm limitless in match day 3. I'm happy with my team. And the transfers that I've penciled in for match day 2 are getting rid of Eriksen, probably getting rid of Van Dijk, and maybe DeMarco. So Eriksen will go out for Modric. I want him in. And Van Dijk out for probably Gvardiol, or I've got Croatia up here. So yeah, I want to bring in Modric. And then I could bring in Gvardiol and maybe another Croatia defender, or maybe a Czech Republic defender. That's what I'm penciled in. Prior to this, the start of this running the numbers, I was, as each player is sort of betting for or betting against that player. And Lukaku and Ronaldo, I was tempted. Well, I would have preferred to bet against those players. So Lukaku, he is, well, he's in his early 30s now. His numbers are down for Roma. He is a minutes concern for Belgium because Openda's on the bench and he's going to get minutes. Lukaku's a sort of, the expression you would use is a flat track bully. That's what we say in English. I know that a lot of you are like from around the world, so that might not translate. So Lukaku does very well against poor defenders who just can't handle his pace and strength. But against good defenders, he's not as good at all. You could say that from his time in England. Against bad defenders, fantastic. When he went to Chelsea, he went to Man United, he just didn't do well at all. So he's the sort of player I would prefer to bet against him, but because Mbappe is injured, because of his price, he's in there. If he doesn't do well in the first game, and it does look like he's a minute's risk, what I could do is bring in Patrick Schick. So he is much cheaper, 2 million cheaper, and that would free up a lot of money. Because the teams that I've got earmarked for the next round, let's bring them up. So Czechia, or Georgia, good fixture, match day 2, and Croatia got Albania, another great fixture. So those are the two teams that I really like for match day 2, but not so much for match day 1. Go back to my team. Is it? It's there. So that's why I would prefer to take a bet against Lukaku. But because Mbappe's an injury doubt, it's easy to go to fade him, considering the price. Ronaldo, the other one that I want to bet against, is because he is 39 years old. He's playing in Saudi Arabia. He scored a good goal against Ireland. Well, in a friendly, big, great. Is he going to play 90 minutes every single game? I'm not sure. He shouldn't, because they've got great options on the bench, and he is 39, and people sort of remember, oh, it's Ronaldo, he's one of the best players of all time. That's true, but you could also think to his time against playing for Man United a year and a half ago, and he didn't look great at all. So I would prefer to bet against both of those players, but with Mbappe out, I'm going to have one of them. Start with Lukaku. We'll get a lot more information even after just one match day. I mean, this is the thing with international football I've found during the modelling of it. You just have such a reduced sample size. You think about club football, like a team like Man City will play 50 games a season. You know all the players, you know who's going to play where, you know the minutes, you know the penalty order. International football plays so infrequently. It's hard to assess it at the same standard, at the same level. Okay, that's forwards. Midfielders. You've got to have 3 Germany players. I think Gundo, I think he's must own just because he's on pens. And then it's a choice between Havertz, Wirtz, and the left back Mittelstadt, who is only 4 million. He is nailed, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mittelstadt gets subbed for David Raum, every game. So that is the concern. If he knew he was nailed and he's going to play 90 minutes every game for 4 million, fantastic option. But as it stands, I'm going with Havertz, Gundo, and Wirtz. Fernandez is a really good pick. So if I bring up the data, so I've ranked it here by total. Just filter on forwards. So you see how Mbappe has got like a reduced number because of the injury doubt for match day 1. And then he's got a tricky fixture against Netherlands in match day 2. Looking at the best options just for match day 1. these are the 4 main considerations for forwards. And you see there, like Havertz, Lukaku, I'm projecting them to score the same amount of points, but there's 1.5 million difference, so I've got to go with Havertz there. Filter this, let's have a look at midfielders. I'm sorting that for match day 1. So got Bruno, got Gundo, got Eriksen, got Çalhanoğlu, Musiala, like him, but he is 1 million more expensive than Wirtz. Bellingham, really like him, but 9.5. Pretty expensive, isn't it? And Rodri, definitely a good shout. I do think he's on pens. 6.5. I get plenty of ball recoveries. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 5 of the top 6 midfielders there, moving into match day 2. I'm going to keep Gundo, Fernandes, going to keep Wirtz. I haven't got Musiala. Bellingham's expensive. We're going to bring in Modric for Eriksen, who's all the way down there. And then we've got Çalhanoğlu in the team. I could upgrade him slightly to Rodri. Fixtures aren't great in match day 2. That is the thing. Let's quickly run through defenders. DeMarco, best defender for this match day. Tricky 1 and 2. You could say the same for Van Dijk. Great fixture for match day 1, not so much for match day 2. Mittelstadt, great option if he's nailed. He's someone else who's good for match day 1, not so much match day 2. Cancelo, great across both. Yeah, and I'll just briefly mention about goalkeepers. I was thinking that cheap goalkeeper options would be the way forward, but there's a lot of some of the smaller nations. There's a bit of doubt. I've gone with Lunin. Even he isn't. I'm not 100% sure that he's nailed. I think he's very lightly nailed, so I've gone with him, and I've gone with Pickford. As if I was to go with the Belgian goalkeeper or the Portugal goalkeeper, then that would be me up to three players for both of them, and I would be blocking any other players that I wanted to bring in. So that's why I've gone with Pickford and Lunin. There's no real... Right now, I've only got 1 Ukraine player. Might bring in... Well, unlikely to bring in another Ukraine player, but that's why I've gone for them too. I've got 0.5 million in the bank. So yeah, just in conclusion, happy with the team. Penciled in transfers or potential players to transfer out. Eriksen, Çalhanoğlu, Van Dijk and DeMarco. That's why I didn't want to. I wanted to keep Gehi in there. Somebody nailed. I don't need to worry about. Don't need to think about transferring him out for match day 2. And the same with the goalkeepers. Slight risk about Lunin, but I don't think I'm going to make any goalkeeper transfers for match day 2. The only good thing about keeping Van Dijk in is at the minute he's probably the best option I've got for the 3rd day of match day 2. So that is something in his favour about keeping him in. This is probably lightly my team. And thank you for watching. Let me know if you've got any questions. I will read them all and answer them all. Cheers.